A top focus this evening, the Tamil Nadu government is taking a bold step in the battle against fake news, communal misinformation and hate speech by establishing a dedicated fact-check unit. Now, this unit's primary mission is to ensure the accuracy of information related to the state government's announcements, policies, schemes, guidelines and initiatives across all media platforms. Comprising 80 members with a central task force based in Chennai, the fact-check unit will employ a rigorous two-step process. First, it will verify complaints or information against authoritative government sources such as official websites, press releases, and government social media accounts. Next, it will collaborate with relevant departments to create accurate and reliable content suitable for social media dissemination. Notably, the government has appointed Ayan Karthikeyan, the former editor of the U-Turn Fact Check website, to lead this initiative. Now, the Fact Check unit will operate under the Special Program Implementation Department overseen by Udayanidhi Stalin. Now, it's worth mentioning that this move follows a similar announcement by the Karnataka government, which faced significant opposition and subsequently reviewed its plan for a fact-checking unit. Now, back in Tamil Nadu, opposition AIADMK alleges that the Tamil Nadu government's move is an attempt to stifle dissent and prevent the spread of information critical of the ruling DMK party. Now, remember, over the years, there have been multiple instances wherein people have been booked for their cartoons, books, or even social media posts for that matter. Now, while the concept of fact-checking units is not new, their effectiveness in today's era of social media is uncertain. Now, the ultimate question remains, will this fact-check unit make a difference in countering misinformation and promoting accurate information? Well, that's only left to time to tell.
I ensure that the government is very clear. We have a clear distinction between what is freedom of speech and what is fake news that is spread with ulterior motive. And here in Tamil Nadu, there are people who are habitual offenders who continue to spread fake news to create unrest in the society. So it is for those people to worry. You cannot continue to spread misinformation and fake news against the government or against any individual, including the people from the opposition parties. People who are trying to spread fake news against you, they will be prosecuted by this unit. This unit will ensure that your freedom of expression is guaranteed, and attacks which are motivated and targeted towards you with fake news will also be countered. So it's a good news for them.
Let me introduce my guests this evening who will better understand what they really think of this. Uma Anandan, BJP councillor, Mohan Kumar Mangalam of the Congress spokesperson, and Dr. P. Pullarao, political analyst. Good evening to all of you. Thank you very much for taking the time out and joining us here. Let me begin by asking you, Dr. Pullarao, what do you make of this? Is this a good move?
There's nothing wrong in it. You go what they have announced. They want to check fake news. They want to see that government programs are not misrepresented. I would say every state should do it. Even central government should do it. The whole social media, whole internet, there's so much scope for giving false news. And by the time the false news is stopped, the damage has been done. There's nothing wrong. We must have, and they can bring in changes. If anybody objects to that, they can. There's a certain procedure they have said. They will consult the police. They will do that. If you read the whole announcement, I feel it should be done in every state. Let it be a fair thing. You accept it at face value. They'll stop freedom of speech. They'll stop your freedom of speech. If you run down somebody, it may not be his freedom of speech. I welcome it. Of course, we must have controls. We must have certain supervision. There should be technocrats shouldn't run away with what they see. There should be some government officers should be involved, which they are, I believe. And therefore, it will be a responsible effort. And if there is something wrong, I'm sure they will change it. They will bring about changes. And I welcome this, not only in Tamil Nadu, in every other state. There's nothing wrong. I find somebody has published something wrong about me. Even I should have access to this kind of thing. And especially a government will want to protect their programs. If something is said, this is that, let there be a little more supervision and check. I don't see what's wrong with it. Even if the central government sets up such a thing, I would welcome it. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, there should be some guidelines. It cannot be a free hand for the mission which is going to do this. There should be some guidelines, and I'm sure they'll develop it as they go, because they have to keep it within the strict confines of the law also. The freedom of speech, I think Article 19 is there. They have to take that in conjunction with Article 19, in conjunction with freedom of speech judgments. It's a very good thing to start. Mischief can be curbed.
Okay, essentially in your opening remark, what you say is it's the need of the hour, not just in Tamil Nadu, but other states as well. But we did see in Karnataka, if you play that graphics as well, this move did not really go down too well, faced massive criticism as well. As far as that is concerned, Mohan, what do you think about this move? Do you agree with how Pullarao sees it?
Yes, I agree with him completely. In fact, I think any controversy about it is much ado about nothing, because there aren't any punitive measures here. All the government is seeking to do is, if there is misinformation or disinformation about its programs, its schemes, its policies put out there, they're going to fact check that and put the corrected versions out there in the same media. We're not asking intermediaries here via this fact checking unit to block content, to shut it down. None of that is part of what they're trying to do. So really, I mean, there is nothing controversial about this. They're basically saying that under the government, we will also have a fact-checking unit. Like there are many independent fact-checking companies out there today on the national level with Alt News. In Tamil Nadu, U-Turn is one example, the CEO of whom is now going to lead this fact-checking unit.
All right. Okay. So both of you seem to be on the same page as far as welcoming this move. But Umanandan, let me come to you. Where does the BJP stand with this?
There's no surprise, the views of the people who spoke earlier. I would like to ask, they seem to, talk about everything is rosy outside. But is that the truth? That's what we are questioning. The freedom of expression, the government programs and all that they're talking. Supposing, the same government, why should they pick up a person? I think this thing they left in the qualification for this post is, he should be a supporter of DMK. I think that they have left. And what are the criteria for selecting? They have done all the things in a rush. And I would like to ask these people a question. There was a big hue and cry about the students who committed suicide during NEET, right? When somebody else, a person who is not even a member of any party, a political party, compares this with the TASMAC deaths. He has every right to comment. The government is running TASMACs. They are open day and night. And so many deaths have been reported. So they say, you people have opened TASMAC and so many people have died. But you pick up only the NEET deaths. That person is very much right in talking about it. But what will this government do? Threaten them? That is what they're doing, arresting people left, right and center. But the same thing they say, it's a wrong information, misinformation, hurting, hate sentiments. Why their own elected representatives, MPs and ministers have gone on public about they have spoon venom. So is that also being taken, or just because it is their party member, they will turn a deaf ear and a blind eye, and that is what they are doing. Already they are doing that. So what is the necessity for this? This is only to gag, and they do not want any honest, constructive criticism of any part. They don't want any whimpering. They want to threaten people. And already there is a department, isn't it? There is a public department which carries forward the schemes of the government. Why is this new department strung in a hurry and with no formalities followed, rules flouted? Why is there in such a hurry? They want to gag. They want to gag the public, threaten the dissenting voices. They don't want to have an honest, across the table information. What are they talking? They're all talking about an utopian world, and that is not happening here. They have arrested people left, right and center who have differed, and even on the wrong sections. All that, it is obvious how they have taken the law and order situation. So there is a death somewhere. There were about 10 deaths in a day, in a state. Is that not a law and order breakdown? If somebody comments about it, what will
Uma,
they do?
so essentially you're saying this is only to gag and that the government doesn't want honest criticism. I'm going to come back to you. Uma, just give me Just give me a couple of minutes because I would also like to introduce Kasturi Shankar, actress, who's also joining us on the show. Kasturi, I'm going to come to you in a bit. I just want to understand from Mohan. Mohan, some strong statements coming from Umaanandan stating that the
I know,
current
but
government
listen,
doesn't want
I heard
criticism.
what.
This move is only to gag.
Sure. I heard what she said, but again, there are no provisions for gagging anybody who's talking on social media in this particular action. Please, let's be clear. Let's talk about the history of what's happened here this year. In April 2023, the central government tried to modify the IT Act rules to making it so that they would define what is fake or false news and would threaten intermediaries with loss of protection, intermediaries being Facebook, Twitter, digital news media, anybody they choose as such on social media, to shut them down if they did not block that information. Now, earlier in 2000, there was an IT Act that had similar provisions, but had a very clear statutory way to handle it and had a limited number of scenarios in which a government was allowed to block information or ask intermediaries to take down that information. What Mrs. Anandan is referring to as gagging. None of that is included in this particular fact-checking unit that the DMK is talking about. By the way, the central government's own initiative is up for judicial review. In Mumbai High Court, The Wire, Newsleaf, a number of digital news outlets actually went and got a stay order on those provisions. Twitter is in court against these very provisions in Bangalore High Court. So the matter is sub judice as far as what the government did, because it was against the existing provisions of law and they didn't even go through parliament to modify them. That is a completely separate topic. That is gagging social media. That is reducing freedom of speech. That is a threat to freedom of speech. This is just a government saying that we are going to be fact checkers because there's disinformation about our schemes out there. And as far as arresting people going basing on what they've posted on things they've said, these aren't the provisions that apply to those arrests. Please go and look at exactly what sections they've been arrested on. And for each case, we can talk about it. And of all parties, I don't think the BJP can talk about false arrests and dragging people on without the provision for bail for ages. They've been doing that with the ED, the CBI, and UAPA across. There's a student called Umar Khalid who's still in jail now. It's over 3 years. So please, they have no locus standi to even talk about these issues.
All right, Mohan, as you, look at that in terms of this perspective, let me also get in Kasturi Shankar to understand what her viewpoint is. Kasturi, you heard everybody on the panel. What do you make of this?
First of all, the IT wing, if I remember right, when TRB Raja of the DMK took over the IT wing, he kind of mooted something like this, where there was a cyber crime cell which would also look into hate crimes against the state, read DMK. And now they've actually appointed, and this was, let's say, in a completely opaque fashion, zero protocols, as far as I know, adhered to in inviting Ian Karthikeyan to be the mission director. By the way, Nivedhana, this is a mission. Huh? It's not a fact check cell. It's a mission like Chandrayaan, like NASA. It's a mission director. He's the mission director of fact checking in Tamil Nadu. What his track record is the choices of the boss, who you choose as boss, clearly exposes the agenda of the initiative completely. Ian Karthikeyan is known for being a DMK apologist, and his fact-checking has, for 90% of the time, been restricted to giving the DMK side of the story when ministers and legitimate official statements cannot be made in a situation. So he's always been an unofficial DMK mouthpiece, and now he has become an official mouthpiece, so to say. That's how I see it. And the second part is, I feel this is, we are looking at greatness here. We are looking at a mixture of McCarthyism and Goebbelsism in the same unit, in the same wing, because we are looking at a fact check unit which will take care of the DMK's requisite propaganda as well. Even though Mohan there said this is not a gag order, I think it is going to take a very strong look. It is going to target people in a very McCarthyist fashion. I think the subtext is going to be more and more evident in the future, where critics are not going to be able to have the space to be as vocal about their issues, because anywhere where you bring up an accusation or allegation against the state, you're going to be pressured, and threatened into submitting incontrovertible evidence, or else, because that is part of the agenda. The published agenda of this unit is to fact check and prevent statements by anybody on social media that would amount to defamation of the state, misinformation, or something that would provoke communal violence. This is a very slippery slope to take. There are a lot of things.
Kasturi, sorry to interject you there, but essentially, are you also questioning who is going to be fact-checking the fact-checkers?
No, they have a history. The fact check, Mr. Ayan Karthikeyan, I think, at one point today, I was talking to people and they were reacting with, now we have a mission director. Next, we will have a ministry of fact checking, and Zubair can be the minister in the Tamil Nadu cabinet. It's going to be like that. The choice of leadership, the choice of who heads these operations, that's a very, very telling sign of what we can expect. And frankly, okay, here's the thing. I'll even welcome it. I'll even welcome it saying, yes, misinformation is wrought on the internet, on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on social media. So we do need something that will put the truth out there. I'll welcome it. We do need some kind of oversight, some kind of authority that will check hate speech. But here's the thing, just my timeline, just take any timeline, just my timeline, and I'm not even in a party. I'm not even a party functionary. Just take my timeline every time I say something against the ruling party's policies. That kind of hate speech, what are they going to do about it? I would be extremely happy if they walk the talk and first take action on their own party functionaries, on their own party IT wing.
Okay, Kasturi, I'd have to interject you there, because that's essentially the same point that Uma also did bring in earlier. So let me try getting in our other panelists also to comment on that. Pullarao, that is a viewpoint, of course, that both Uma and Kasturi have had. So if you would want to come in and counter that as well.
I think they should remember one small thing. It's a regulatory body. And eventually all regulatory bodies fail. George Stigler, 1981, Nobel Prize. Go check him up. Eventually all regulatory bodies are captured by those whom they are supposed to regulate. There's nothing awesome. What all Ms. Shankar said or Madam Uma said, I agree. They can go to court. They can say have better processes, have a better selection. They can do it. The very idea that you don't need a fact checker, that's what I disagree. The idea that a government shouldn't have an official fact checker who will get money and who is responsible. He is responsible in the assembly. He is responsible, an MLA can raise a question about him tomorrow and say, what's he doing? What is this fellow's tribal bills? What is his work? You can file an RTI. You can, fortunately, it's a government body. Yes, his antecedents may not be the liking of some, but eventually we have to appoint somebody. And it's up to vigilant people to see that he treads the narrow path. Otherwise, there will be nothing. Citizens can't expect somebody who becomes a regulator, he'll do everything. Why? You don't have to go far. What has the Airports Authority done? Regulatory bodies? Nothing. TRAI, total failure. Therefore, let us be a little bit restrained. We need a regulatory body. I'm sure Mumaji and Kalyani will both agree to that. Kasturiji. In the sense, otherwise, this endless misery is coming. It's the first step. It can be refined. You can raise your objections. You can go to court and ask for guidelines. You can ask for guidelines. Welcome it. Try to change it. Try to get it rational. That's what regulation is all about. You can't say, I don't need regulation. That's gagging. This sounds high and mighty. What are they doing in UP? What are they doing in Assam? There's also gagging. We can call it gagging, or you can call it fact-checking. Choose your words. But we do need regulation, and I'm sure my distinguished friends will agree with that.
Mohan, coming to you as far as this perspective is concerned, what Uma was also talking about earlier is that no action taken on certain leaders of the ruling government as far as their hate speeches are concerned, but selective here in terms of curbing free speech, Mohan?
No, listen, taking action against leaders who are making hate speech is a completely separate issue from that. That's a different section, that's a different set of laws, and anybody can go and file a case against them, go to court against them. None of that is stopped. This is about disinformation, misinformation on social media. Now, let me remind Umanandanji that about March 2023, a spokesperson of Uttar Pradesh BJP put a tweet out there which went viral that said that Bihari workers were being hung in Tamil Nadu for being speaking in Hindi. And there's a large population of migrant workers that come from the west and the north to Tamil Nadu to work in various industries. We're the most industrialized state in the country by way of the number of workers working in industries. We have many small to medium business clusters. And so this went viral, and a lot of migrant workers started to go back. Two governments actually had to work with each other to curb the disinformation that was being spread by a UP BJP spokesperson out of the blue. There was no catalyst for it either. So it is situations like this that force governments to then come up with fact-checking units to come and stop this, to immediately bring what's true out in the public domain. So it is, if you look across the country, frankly, the biggest purveyor of fake news is the BJP. And one of the biggest platforms they use for it is WhatsApp. They have the deepest WhatsApp networks in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, everywhere you go. Possibly not in Tamil Nadu, but I can tell you across the country, that is the situation. And let's not talk about hate speech. Like I said, it's a completely different issue here. Please go to court. Please challenge it. This is about fake news. This is about disinformation on digital media, on social media. That is rampant, and that leads to serious issues such as the one that was faced by all the industrialists in Tirupur and the workers in Tirupur when this fake news was spread by the BJP. Let me just say one thing, and this
Mohan,
is a
as you
concession to
point
my
that
good
out,
friend.
yeah.
Let me just say one thing, and it's a concession to my good friend.
Go ahead.
Talking before this, and that is that I do think, because the full contours of what the fact-checking unit are not out yet, I would think that the DMK would like to have sort of an oversight committee that includes, the ADGP, the Attorney General, many civil servants as well, on the actual unit of presiding over what Ayan Karthikeyan is doing. Because that's also kind of the approach that Karnataka has taken, and I welcome that sort of more wholesome oversight of a unit such as this.
Okay, but essentially going on to say that is the need of the hour, because we do know in the era of social media how fake news is also worked out to be. So, Uma, essentially coming to you, I do see you want to make a point. So, closing point there before we wrap up.
See, first, I would like to remind those two friends of mine, they were talking about the gag order that I am questioning, as Ms. Kasturi rightly said, the credentials of Mr. Ayan Karthikeyan. For this particular thing, they are telling they would like to highlight the government thing, but what about his credentials? Go by his record. He has always, whatever negative things that come out, he has tried to put it in a different way, and he has only been targeting the BJP and the NRDMK. So his credentials are being questioned when it comes to a government policy. Why? They could have appointed somebody. Why this particular person who is loyal to the Dravidian parties? And why this hurried thing? No steps, no rules followed. Why all this? And now he is talking about the utopian thing of a ADGP being brought in and all that. That never happens. And he says we can go to court and all that. But finally, what are they doing here? They catch hold of only the people who are speaking against what's supposing a lady who got the 1,000 rupees, who did not get it, comes in person and says the travails that she underwent. Are they going to arrest her? False information. They will not allow that to come at all. Because he's speaking the truth and it is against the government image. So this is what they're trying to say. They don't want, because all their policies, the people who have not received it rightly have come on record and come to the social media to talk about it. The travails and the steps they could not get it. So they want to put a stop to that. They want to better their battered image. For that they should have, non-partisan person should have been chosen. not a party supporter, and going by his records, his credentials are obvious. This is what we are questioning. If they had put an ADGP and all that, nobody is going to question about it. If there was an advisory panel of already existing government people, nobody is going to question this. And what a package. What a package. The package is something, and as you say, regulatory authority and the other gentleman said, let us try it out. It's a very, very expensive, financially crippling.
All right, talking about that also essentially, in fact, this fact-checking unit is going to cost almost 3.5 crores per annum is what we understand. But Kasturi, yes, I do see that you want to come in and make a point as well.
Yes, this is a quick rebuff to Mohanji out there. I'm not talking about hate speech. I'm talking about targeted and systematic disinformation that purports to an individual. So when the state ruling party's IT wing engages in disinformation, including Photoshop images, including fake news, including completely defamatory statements, including slander against individuals, my question is this fact-checking only for enemies of the state? Are we creating people against the state as opposed to the state for the people? I find that very undemocratic. If there is a fact-check unit, the only way it can be justified using taxpayer money is if it works for the taxpayer, if it works for the benefit of every citizen of Tamil Nadu who directly and indirectly pays into the system. But at this point, what realistically looks like going to happen is that this is a extended propaganda machine for the DMK, not for the Tamil Nadu government. It's an extended propaganda mission for the DMK, where we are going to, this is my suspicion. And if everything is hunky-dory and everything is free, fair, and just, then great. But I don't see that happening. I see, even without a fact-checking unit, I see how media voices are curbed. I see how individuals are threatened. I see how people like me, who are not even political, completely political, we are critics of the government policy, and we get attacked using fake information about our personal lives. So I don't see this fact check cell really checking facts. I think it is going to be more of an apologist initiative for the DMK. Again, not for the TN government, for the DMK, because that's what history has shown us. Their IT wing has...
All right, Kasturi, I have to interject you there, but we're running out of time. But before we wrap, Mohan Kumar, quickly coming to you about the point that you made earlier, that, a leading publication still has those articles that you were talking about. Why weren't they taken to court?
Sorry, which articles are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Yes, you were talking about, yeah.
Which articles did I mention?
When you were putting your viewpoint earlier about it. Certain information that is put, out there when we're talking about misinformation, why not act against them in terms of that?
No, the acting on the misinformation in terms of, you're talking about blocking intermediaries or penalizing social media platforms, etc. That is not in the purview of this fact-checking unit at all. Like I said, those rules that were notified by the central government have been challenged in court because those rules were too wide. What happened in April 2023 was the Modi government said that we will decide what fake news is or what false news is. Earlier, the rules were very, very, tied down to only 6 or 7 sections, which is that if there was news that would affect India's sovereignty, our relationships with foreign countries, public order, there were very, very particular areas that you could tell a platform that please take that down or you will face action. This year, what the Modi government decided to do was say that we'll decide what fake news is and we will penalize any platform that doesn't obey the order of taking it down. And against that particular legislation, or that proposal rather, those rules, 2 sets of people went to court. I think the Leaflet, The Wire, and a few other digital publications got a stay order in Bombay High Court. And in Karnataka High Court, Twitter is still fighting the case. They haven't got a stay order on those provisions, but the case is ongoing. So therefore, there's no implementation that's happened yet of that.
All right. Mohan, Uma, Kasturi, as well as Pullarao, want to appreciate you for taking the time out and joining us here this evening. But for the moment, we're leaving the conversation at that. Thank you very much once again.